So I finally got some time to sit down and fully catch up with Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation, and I'm gonna say it right now that this is easily one of the best series I've seen in a while, if I'm not counting sequel series. This is a fantastic start. The first two episodes I watched, I want more. Like, I was so tempted to just look up and find the light novel, like to order the light novel, whatever, because of how much I actually enjoyed these first two episodes of Jobless Reincarnation. So let's get right into it. Obviously, by the title of it, it is an isekai. It is basically transported or reincarnated in another world. Now, as always, when it comes to every single individual anime season, there always is a series like this, or most of the time, multiple. I mean, let's really take a good look at, Winter of Anime 2021. We have, this series now, we have the Spider series, we have Log Horizon, we have ReZero, and probably other series that are slipping my mind right now. There's quite a bit isekai when it comes to this anime season, and so many might be kind of throwing other isekai under the bus or not even giving them the time of the day because there's already so much good content from this anime season, which makes a lot of sense. Once again, this season is packed. There is so much good to really be found throughout the anime that has released in this past week or so. But I'm going to say it right now, do not overlook this series. I'm just going to say that, because after watching these first two episodes, no amount of hype building and what people told me that this was going to be good had me expect how much I was actually going to enjoy this. Like, okay, we all know I like isekai trash. Like, I even love trash isekai. But I'm going to be honest with you, this isn't one of those series. The only thing that might be kind of a turnoff for individuals of wanting to watch this series would be some of the etchier scenes, which isn't as bad as other things. But I think that is the only flaw that some people would have with the story. Besides that, I think many that actually come into watching this are going to be blown away by how good it is presented to the audience. Since I'm already on the topic of ecchi scenes, there is something that does need to be mentioned. If you have yet to watch this series and you don't live by yourself, I really do recommend wearing headphones, because there is a few scenes that honestly I don't think anyone probably would have ever expected to have in this series if you probably haven't read the source content. You literally have the parents actually going at it. It's just like, wait, what? And it's just like, you actually hear it. It's just like, wow, these walls are way too thin. They need to be a lot thicker for there's no noise coming through them. And so, yeah, that's just something that kind of blew my mind when I was watching these first two episodes. As I've always said, when it comes to isekai, you can be the same old start and all that. It just comes down to how you utilize it. And this is one of those series that does just that. It doesn't necessarily have anything relatively unique. Like, when we look at these first two episodes, like, in terms of what it isn't anything new. However, this is where, what I've always said, it comes down to the writer of how good it is, and the writer of this series is fantastic. And it's also the beautiful anime adaptation that we are getting from the staff that is working on this. It's very clear that the staff working on this series, Jobless Reincarnation, or, Mushoku Tensei, is really passionate about the project. It really shines through, especially with the scene with the MC Rudy when he used the whole water scene. You see the entire camera, just change entire perspective. The POV literally shifted and circled around him as he was charging magic. It's incredible. There is a lot of good animation bits throughout the first two episodes, and it does not dip in quality whatsoever. But obviously, it's not just the animation. It is the story and the presentation of these characters that really make this series shine, and why I'm even making a video to recommend it to all of you. This series, I think the best way to describe it is why I love isekai. This is why I love this type of genre, this type of series and all that. This story has everything that makes an isekai good. Like, to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of it, we gotta look at kind of what the main point of what an isekai usually is. It's about a character getting a second chance at life. That's usually what the genre really spins around. It's basically a character trying to make up for the wrongs they did in their previous life and maybe having another shot to do something much greater and have more purpose in their life. When you really look at what this type of series is about, at least where it stems from, it usually stems from individuals that felt like their life was basically meaningless. And then all of a sudden, when they are given this second chance at life, they find purpose and they don't want their life to end up at that dead end that they previously had. And so they actually want to do anything they possibly can in their power to make sure that their life is actually good. Throw in the overpowered character and then you have something incredible. And I feel like there is a lot of things that have been lost over the years from what really makes this type of series good. And this series doesn't necessarily try to make the character straight up powerful right at the start. I mean, it does, but it does it in a way to where it's like not completely in your face. And let me give a good explanation. For instance, Ainz from Overlord or Rimuru from Reincarnated as a Slime. These type of characters kind of start off incredibly OP. They're ridiculously strong, and they're really good stories. I'm not saying that this is bad storytelling, but a lot of series have kind of gravitated towards this type of thing to where characters need to be outright straight up powerful, and it's more of a power fantasy than anything else. Well, when I look at Mushoku Tensei, the MC is definitely powerful and gifted. The individual is being able to do magic without incantations, but it's not up in your face about it, which makes it really enjoyable, because you have this character that's actually having to put in a lot of work to obtain their spells and this type of power that they've been gifted with. They didn't just get it day one and were given unlimited access to everything that, they had from day one. I do appreciate this type of storytelling, and that's another thing. That's one of the big reasons why I love this type of story. And then we also have the stuff with the character overcoming the problems of his past. For instance, in episode 2, when he had his whole graduation to be able to actually overcome, his magic class, to be able to actually succeed and then, move up in level, he actually had to leave his house. And the thing is in his previous life, he was terrified. He didn't want to leave his house. He was one of those shut-ins that you see continuously in other types of form of anime, and his life, once again, we know, reached a dead end, since this is a reincarnated into another world type series. And the thing is that he had trauma to not go outside the house because he was bullied. He was incredibly bullied by people at school, and they did some really horrific things. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it because I feel like, I can't really talk about that on YouTube, but the point is that it was really horrible what they did to him. What everybody did at school to him was outright terrible, and it would make a lot of sense why you'd be afraid to even leave your house and you would want to stay in after everything that kind of happened to him. And so when you see him actually being forced to leave the house to actually graduate from learning magic from his teacher Roxy, it's incredibly powerful because he manages to overcome those issues he had in his previous life, which once again goes back to what I earlier stated, that the point of these type of series is to see a character have a second shot, a second chance to be able to do things that they were not able to do in the first place. Now thinking about it, maybe this explains the reason why I love ReZero so much in Subaru as a character, because he's someone that actually isn't just straight up powerful at the start, and someone that actually has to overcome his past trauma to be a better person with his second chance at a new life. So it's a whole new start. It's a new start for him and a whole new life for him to be able to move forward and have something new and great in his future. So that alone, that scene, that development alone is enough for me to really cherish and love this series. But it's another thing too when it comes to the way the origin point of the story is. You know how most characters, when they're reincarnated into another world, they're just dropped on into the world and they're already kind of like an adult. That's usually how these type of stories go. Now there is outliners. I know that there is that bookworm, isekai that came out a few seasons ago that I never really got to fully go deeper into and watch myself. I just know about the origin point. But most of the time you have it to where characters, they're thrown into an adult body and that's about it, or a monster body, and they're not necessarily a child, and they don't really start all over again. Well, when you look at Mushoku Tensei, the character actually starts off as a child and has to actually grow up. You actually see him grow up over the years from, literally a baby to the point to where he's at his 5th birthday to be able to get presents and all that and to be able to move on with his life, to be able to learn from magic school. It's really cool to see that type of perspective, seeing how someone would interact with the world that they're growing up in. And he, even though he obviously has a lot of knowledge from his old world, for instance, he has more of an adult mindset, there's things that obviously he didn't understand, and his fascination for magic and going to reading books and stuff, it's definitely something that a child would have. So it's really cool how this is incorporated into the story with, him learning and all that from an early age to be able to utilize his exponential power and gift and be able to actually be OP. Once again, it's just so good. The way the series presents things, it's tasteful. It doesn't feel like it's just thrown in to make a character overpowered for the sake of being overpowered, which, once again, I'm not trying to crap on those type of series. There's a lot of good series that do this. Once again, Overlord and Reincarnated Slime is one of the 2 favorite series of all time when it comes to Isekai for me. And so I'm not crapping on that type of style. I'm just saying, though, it is nice to see a difference. It is nice to see a character having to grow into that power, and with time. It's not, one day they're immensely overpowered. You see this guy actually having to go through years of training to be where he's at, which is another thing to really kind of talk about. So in terms of training and all that, there's other great things. We have the character of Roxy, the master figure or the mentor figure of Rudy, our MC. Roxy as a character, I already love her, and it's sad that with episode 2, it seems like our journey with her is pretty much going to come to a close, and I'm really sad to see that, because I really liked her character, but it really does kind of set the presentation for what to expect going forward from the series, because one of the big things that we could take from Roxy as a character at the point of the end of episode 2 is a few things. First is the fact that you have her as a gifted mage, someone that learns sacred level magic, someone that was able to be so highly skilled and all that. They got bested by a child at the age of 5 and completely just dwarfed their level of power. So imagine someone at the age of 15 or 20 that spent all their life learning magic being dwarfed by a kid at the age of 3 or 5. You could imagine you would feel like you lost your purpose in life. Like, what was the point of me trying so hard if someone like this is already this gifted? Like, what's the point? Like, I was just unlucky. This person's gifted. And I do like this presentation as well. It's showing that Rudy's gift will have a damper on some of the interactions he'll have in the future with others. For instance, he might be the sole cause of individuals maybe turning away from magic or losing their hope in being gifted with magic, or he might cause people to actually be mean to him and hunt him down because of how gifted he is. He might create a lot of enemies. This is definitely a good way to present like this type of storytelling to the audience about how Rudy is kind of unaware of some of the things that he is causing around him. But secondly, we also got to look at the fact, though, too, on the plus side of things, is that the way he actually presented, magic without incantations, is that necessarily something that is only limited to him, or can everyone actually learn this? They just don't really know how, because for so long they've been doing incantations, they can't imagine anything without it. So maybe what Rudy is gifted with is something that everybody is actually capable of. It's just because of his perspective is very different, since he comes from a different world, he's not limited by the bounds of incantations. Others can do it, there's just they think that's the only way to actually do magic. So I do wonder if that is actually the case or not, but regardless, it's really cool to see that, Roxy as a character was incredibly important to show how the world will interact with Rudy going forward when he tries to learn more magic. Now, at most, from what we can see where the story is going, it seems like the next step for Rudy is to go to the magic school and learn more magic. And so I feel like the series is going to turn more into kind of like a Hogwarts type series sooner or later. I'm believing it's probably going to go into that type of path, and if so, I would be very happy to have like a Harry Potter situation. I don't know, that sounds kind of cool depending on how it's done, but I do wonder kind of what the main end goal of the story is. Now, obviously, we're here for the journey. It's just seeing a character have a second second chance at life, and I guess that's the main point of the story. But I do wonder if there is going to be a big baddie that is amongst, you know, the cast. For instance, is there going to be like a Demon Lord, Demon King thing, or is it going to just strictly be about the story of Rudy and him having a second chance at life? We'll have to see. But overall, I'm going to say that this is a great series. If you have yet to actually watch it, you really should take some time out of your day and watch the first and second episode of this series. And there is some good news as well. Apparently, Jobless Reincarnation is actually going to be 2 cours. For instance, it's going to be a total of like 23, 24 episodes. However, there is something that's going to be a little bit upsetting for some. The fact is that it's going to be split core. So it's going to be in a very similar situation as to, for instance, how ReZero was. It's going to, you know, air for this season, and then it's going to probably, you know, go off for like a season or two, and then it will return with its second half of the story. And I know that this can make some upset. Oh, you know, why would they do this? Why would they split the series? Why can't we just have it continuously until the series comes to a close? Once again, this is good. This is a good thing. The reason why it's a good thing is it allows the animators to put more time and effort into the story, have a break and all that, not being overworked. It's for the production quality and quality of said story. So I think it's a good thing that the series is going to be a split core, especially after seeing just the level of quality that is put into the first and second episode. It's telling enough of how good this series is and how passionate the animators are. So I'm glad that they're going to be getting the break that they actually deserve between the 2 halves of this series. But I'll leave it at that. That was my first impressions of Mushoku Tensei. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below how you felt about the series. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? And do you think that this is kind of the perfect way to really represent an isekai? Is this what, you know, the true essence of an isekai really is? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. And with that, I love you guys. Be safe. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you got this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please hit the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.